One of the world's most famous true crime cases, and this is the last picture of this boy before he disappeared. This is 14-year-old Andrew Gosden, and he went missing after leaving his home in South Yorkshire. He left his home on September 14th, 2007. What's crazy about this is it seems he left completely willingly, and he wasn't in contact with anybody, at least that we know of. He did make some odd choices leading up to his disappearance, and maybe this was just a teenager being a teenager. He made choices like he didn't want to go visit his grandmother. He kind of became more of a shut-in. There was this couple of times, twice actually, that he walked home from school instead of taking the bus, which would put him about an hour and a half walk home instead of taking the bus, and nobody really knew why. His parents described Andrew as a good kid, but kind of a shut-in, liked video games, liked to just sit in his room and play video games, and that was him. He had only been back to school about a week before he disappeared. So there was a holiday break, and then he went to school for a week, and then he disappeared. The day before he disappeared was a completely normal day for the family. And then the day he disappeared, he woke up, got dressed for school, and then walked towards the bus stop. The only thing is he didn't get onto the bus. He just ended up walking to an ATM, withdrawing some money, about $200, I guess 200 pounds over there. He had 214 in his account, I believe, and he could only withdraw 20s, so he ended up just taking 200 out. Then he returned home, which no one was home. He ended up changing out of his uniform, his school uniform, and changed into a Slipknot t-shirt and like jeans. He took his wallet, his keys, and a PlayStation console, but no other things were missing. He didn't take a bunch of stuff. He didn't take clothes, personal items, anything like that. Those were the only things that he really took. Another weird thing is Andrew did have an extra $100 that he could have taken with him, but he didn't. So that kind of points to maybe he wanted to come home. Didn't take a charger or a coat, by the way. At 8:30, he is seen leaving his house and walking to the train station. He bought a ticket to London one way. The person there doing the tickets definitely remembered him because, for one, he was really young, and for two, he didn't buy a return ticket. Even though she prompted him, do you want a return ticket? He absolutely said no. At 9:35, he is seen boarding the train. The lady that sat next to him on the train said that he just was immersed in his video games and didn't say anything, didn't do anything. Meanwhile, at school, they realized he didn't make it, and so they tried to call his home. And I guess they called the wrong number. They thought that they were calling his parents, but it ended up they were calling somebody else and left a message, so his parents didn't know that he was missing. He arrived in London about 11:20, and he is last seen in these pictures that are very famous, leaving the London train station at 11:25. After that, he absolutely disappears. His parents, thinking that he's a teenager and he came home and he's in his room playing his video games, just assumed that that's where he was. Didn't know he was disappeared at all, and they just assumed he was there. So they didn't know until about 7 o'clock when they ended up calling and reporting it to the police. They ended up actually calling friends to see where he went after school, and that's when they were told that he didn't even make it to school. This miscommunication lost several hours of valuable time. The search was done. The parents went his normal school route, couldn't find him. The police searched around his home, couldn't find him, and it would be a little while before they got that CCTV footage. This is something that the parents definitely are vocal about, is why the police didn't get the footage sooner, and they had dropped the ball in a couple of ways. They could have got footage sooner, and they also had a tip that someone saw him at a Pizza Hut, and they didn't follow up on it at all. They just ignored it. These poor parents have not changed Andrew's room. They still have the same locks because he took his keys, and they are just waiting for him to come home, and it is the saddest thing. People theorized that maybe he was struggling with coming out, and his parents said if he was, they would welcome him with open arms. and there was no reason that he needed to shy away from that. And so they have said that, and they just hope that he comes home one day. You are not ready for this update, because in 2021, 2 arrests were made of 2 individuals. They had some convictions on having material of children underage. You know where I'm going with this. And also some traffic charges. So they really hard looked into these 2 men, and they did say that these 2 men were people of interest in the case. And this was huge because we hadn't had an update on him in so long. They investigated this lead and investigated these 2 men for more than 2 years. And in 2023, they came out and said they have no connection to Andrew at all, and they released them. What? This case has a lot of theories, so let's get into them. The biggest theory is that he met someone online. Either they were catfishing him or they were their true identity, but people think that he left to meet somebody online. But his parents dispute that, saying there was not really a way that he was connecting with someone. He didn't have any social media. He had his games, but they checked and it didn't seem like his games had an account even to be able to communicate with anyone. And they checked home computers, they checked school computers, and they never found any evidence that he went to meet someone. Another strange thing is a man came into the police station and he was met with an intercom system because it was late at night. And he said, "I have information in the Andrew case." And they said, "Okay, hold on a minute. We're getting a police officer there." And before the police officer came, the man just disappeared. To me, is super strange. Like, what did he know? There's also theories that maybe Andrew went to a concert or an event. He liked rock music and there was a couple of rock concerts. There is been no update on that. If you were at a concert in London in 2007, if you were at a concert in London, they do want you to come forward if you have any pictures or anything, just so they can scan them and see if he was in them. One of his favorite TV shows was of a man who faked his unaliving and then ran off. I mean, he definitely could have been plotting something like that. There was a boy who went missing in 2008, the year after, and his name was Alex Soley, I believe, and the circumstances were kind of the same. He just disappeared. He was around the same age. So I went on the biggest rabbit hole, seeing if there was a connection. But what I got out of that was that Alex kind of started running with the wrong crowd, and that's how he might have ended up disappearing, not having to do with just a random one, kind of like Andrew. So I don't think they're connected, but there is police officers who do believe that. There are people who believe that he's still out there, so who knows? My biggest theory is that he went to either meet someone or to a concert or sightseeing, and he ended up meeting foul play. And unfortunately, I don't think he is still out there, but I do want answers in this case. Please, please, please bring us answers. And remember that you're always on camera and you're always being watched, so you cannot hide. I will see you next time with another true crime case caught on camera.